All right, let's discuss chapter 11 and 12. So chapter 11 is what I heard in the apple barrel, meaning what Jim heard while he was in the apple barrel. And he points out that good does come from this apple barrel that the captain warns against. Hiding in the apple barrel, Jim finds out that Silver was a pirate. He was Flint's, so Captain Flint's quartermaster, which wasn't an officer in charge of navigating for him, and that he actually lost his leg in the same battle in which Pew lost his eyes. Jim wants to kill Silver when he hears him flatter the man named Dick with the same words he had used on Jim that had made Jim feel so good. He now used the exact same words on someone else, and that makes Jim hate him for it. Silver explains how, unlike the rest of the gentlemen of fortune that he calls pirates, he saves his money instead of just blowing his money. He saves it on a good fling, and that his goal is to set up as a gentleman. So he wishes to be a gentleman after this last bit of treasure is found. And this is, again, as we've talked about before, where rank and status comes from how much money you have. And once the brave lad agrees to join forces with the buccaneers, Israel Hands arrives to urge Silver to strike soon. And Silver gets onto or scolds Hands for being too hasty, for going too quickly and being too quick about it. If they were to be patient, they could ride in carriages. That was his words that he used, which alludes to the fact that instead of being gentlemen of fortune, they could live a life of gentlemen born, meaning they could live a life as if they had been born wealthy. We learn for sure during this chapter that Long John Silver, who was so well liked by the squire and the doctor, is actually ruthless and is a villain. When Dick asks what they will do with the honest men once they have the treasure, Silver agrees with Hands in saying that dead men don't bite, meaning a person like that is better off dead so they can never come back and ruin things for them. He says, when I'm in Parliament, riding in my coach, so this was kind of like a car of their day and time, it would have been a very fancy carriage. He said he doesn't want these men coming back home unlooked for like the devil at prayers, meaning he doesn't want them to come back looking for him when he's not expecting it. And he even quotes the doctor's motto saying duty is duty, and that duty to Long John Silver is actually referring to killing all the honest men to keep them silent. And he claims for himself the pleasure that he will take from killing the squire, saying, I'll wring his head off. Suddenly, the cook then asks for an apple, and Jim tensely fears that he's going to be discovered inside this apple barrel. But his luck holds, and Hands asks for rum instead. And so Silver directs Dick to the keg, meaning to go get him rum. And Jim realizes that it was Silver who deliberately destroyed Mr. Arrow with rum. So all along, as we were reading about Mr. Arrow being nothing but a drunk, it was really Long John Silver that kept giving him the drink and getting him drunk so that he could get rid of him, because he probably found him to be of danger to his ultimate plan. Then they hear land ho, meaning that someone at the front of the boat has just spotted land, and the excitement that follows actually saves Jim from being discovered inside this apple barrel. So to talk kind of about how the author, Robert Louis Stevenson, writes this book, he actually shifts the level of knowledge of his characters, and he raises suspense by using dramatic irony. Okay, we know the truth, though various characters do not know the truth. Until this point, though, in the book, the knowledge has been on the side of the pirates. Now, Jim occasionally suspects Silver and his friends, but we read in chapter 11 that Jim learns of their scheme, so of their ultimate plan, and the knowledge shifts from scheming pirates to the honest men. So all along, it's only really been the pirates and kind of a suspicion of Captain Smollett, too, of what the ultimate plan is. But now, because of Jim and this apple barrel and what he's overheard, the tides have kind of changed. Now it's the honest men that are coming up with the plan. Now they know that what the pirates are up to. The pirates don't know that they know. So we're kind of reading into what's about to happen here. Now that Jim has overheard this conversation in the apple barrel, he's horrified by Silver. But Barbecue still treats Jim as his favorite, telling him that exploring a place like Treasure Island will be a boy's dream come true. And then we will continue that part of the discussion. I don't want to give away what's about to happen in chapter 13, but I do want to ask you a few questions. Where are Long John Silver's savings now? Do you remember from what we were reading about his wife? Where is his money saved? Well, if you caught on to this, it just kind of added this little piece in there in a conversation saying that his wife has his money in it and will be waiting for him, and that she has sold the spyglass, and that all the money from the sale of his tavern will be hers as well, and that she will meet him, that they have some secret meeting place planned out. So his wife knows of his plan. Now, what is, when we say a gentleman of fortune, what do we mean by that? Now, there was kind of a comparison there to a gentleman born, meaning that gentleman of fortune is kind of a pirate's term, and as opposed to a born gentleman, somebody who is born a gentleman with money, like his parents had money, whereas a pirate has had the luck of fortune. So he's found treasure that gives him that status. So why do you think that Long John Silver wants to wait until the last minute to take over the ship? Well, he does make reference to Captain Smollett. He does have an appreciation for Captain Smollett, big time. He says that Captain Smollett is a first-rate seaman, meaning he is the best of the best when it comes to being the captain of a ship, right? Long John Silver hasn't been the captain. He was one step below Captain Flint. He wasn't the captain. So he has an admiration for and respect of the Captain Smollett, even though he doesn't particularly like him in a personable sense, but he does have respect for him. And he knows that the squire and the doctor have the map, and that the rest of the hands will help them find the treasure and carry all this heavy stuff on board the ship. So he would like to let the captain sail them halfway back before he strikes at them. But he does know that the crew will want to kill the honest men on the island as soon as they can get the treasure on board, and that he probably won't be able to stop them because he is outnumbered even by his own men, and that they do have a sort of greed to them that they want the treasure all for themselves. They wouldn't want to chance it on having to split any of it with the doctor, the squire, or Captain Smollett. So what does Silver plan to do once the cruise is over? I kind of already talked about this, but it has to do with his wife, right? He wants to live on his savings. He wants to become a gentleman, and he perhaps even wants to become a member of parliament, to go into government and ride in a coach. He thinks that's the ultimate goal. So what does Silver say that that he votes for death. He doesn't want to just maroon or trap and condemn these honest men to the island alive, because then they might get back to England and somehow find him, right? So he wants to kill them. But who exactly was it that Long John Silver says that he would like to kill himself? Who is it that he despises and doesn't like? Squire Trelawney, right? The squire is admiring of Silver, and yet Silver has been wanting to wring his head off. But yet that's the one person who's thought the most of Silver. Interesting, huh? What do we find out that actually probably happened to Mr. Arrow? Who was the one actually giving him the alcohol and probably in effect killed him for it? Apparently Silver, right? It seems that he had been giving him the rum all along. Yep. Interesting chapter, huh? It'll be fun to see what happens on the island. See you next time.